Hello, everybody. My name is Petr Mach. I am coming from the Czech Republic, and it's so refreshing, and it's really a great pleasure for me to be among people who have similar ideas as I have. And it's so refreshing to see T-shirts like "Enjoy Capitalism" or quoting Frédéric Bastiat and so on. And I think that we have lots in common. First of all, let me thank you for the invitation among you here today. And I really think that Norway is a beautiful country. You have a beautiful weather. And I think that people whom I had the opportunity to meet are also very nice. Only as I could experience, your taxes are high, as well as in my country, so definitely we have lots of in common. And probably the reasons for which you have decided to establish a party are also the same as what I felt 6 years ago. So let me share some experience and some ideas with you. I am chairman of the Free Citizens Party in the Czech Republic. Right now we have approximately 1,000 members and 2,000 registered supporters. Both categories pay annual fees to the party. And when we decided to establish a new political party 6 years ago, we had no sponsors, we had 0 crowns on our accounts. So why did we establish a new political party? Simply, I have always been a responsible citizen, a responsible voter. But back in 2009, I simply felt that there is no political party in the Czech Republic that I could vote for. I was something that could be described as a disappointed or a frustrated right-wing voter, because the main right-wing political party in the Czech Republic, which I used to vote for many years, simply did not do what it claimed. So on their political manifestos, they were in favor of low taxation, of reducing public debt, against excessive regulation and so on, against giving up political powers to supranational organizations like the European Union. But in practice, they increased taxes, actually, they increased the public debt, and they gave more powers to the EU. So there were many disappointed voters like me, so we simply decided to gather the necessary signatures, which was very easy in the Czech Republic. It was, I think, just 1,000 signatures. There were no additional fees. So on theory, it's relatively easy to establish a political party in the Czech Republic. Nevertheless, there are many obstacles. Of course, that the main disadvantage is that the established political parties that already are present in the parliament receive huge government funding. They have much better access to the media. And also, there is a threshold. In the Czech Republic, you get to the parliament only if you get more than 5% of the votes, which is very difficult, as you will be able to know probably. Even if you represent thousands of people, your ideas are not represented in the parliament, which is undemocratic. Nevertheless, we must somehow cope with the existing system. And last year, I was elected to the European Parliament very narrowly because we got just 5.2 or something like that. So I was elected as the only member for my party to the European Parliament. However, till now, we have not succeeded in our national elections. My party succeeded in several local elections, so we have councillors on the local level. In the last general parliament election, we got something like 2.5%, which was not sufficient. As I mentioned, there is the 5% threshold. So we had some successes, but the main success to get into the national parliament is still ahead of us. So we believed that we need as many members or registered supporters as possible because we rely on them as regards funding of the party, because it's very difficult to attract big sponsors for a small political party which is outside the parliament. Our members pay an annual fee of 1,000 Czech crowns. 1 Czech crown is approximately 1/3 of the Norwegian crown. And the registered supporters pay an amount that they decide, but at least 100 crowns annually. So if we have about 3,000 people who pay an annual fee, we are able to fund at least some campaign. We can produce and distribute leaflets, we can make videos and post them on the internet. We could pay for some billboards by the roads and so on. And definitely campaigning is very important for any political party. And I am happy that it seems that you mean it, that you don't want to be just a club of people who share the same ideas. I am really happy that you are just another group in just another country that really wants to push these ideas in politics. If I can have an advice, I think that for a political party of our kind, it's necessary to have a certain level of ideological tolerance. I don't like very much the situation when people of different corners of the libertarian movement argue one to another in such a manner which is destroying. So I think that it's necessary for a political party like this to include different corners of this classical liberal movement. So according to my opinion, there are objectivists and admirers of Ayn Rand. There are people who call themselves libertarians, people who call themselves anarcho-capitalists, people who call themselves voluntarists or classical liberals. There are Christians who share these ideas. And I think that it's necessary to include all these groups into a political party. So what I think is that we must be able to tolerate these small differences in ideas in order to succeed. Just one remark before we open a discussion. How we succeeded to get into the European Parliament. In fact, it's easier to get into the European Parliament because most voters consider the European Parliament as a less important institution, and they are right about that. And therefore the turnout is very low. Normally in the Czech Republic, 60-65% of people go to the election. In the European Parliament, the turnout was just something like just 17 or 19%. So we succeeded in persuading the Eurosceptic libertarian voters to go to the election. So approximately 80,000 votes were sufficient to get us to the European Parliament. But the same number of votes would not be sufficient in the national election. So we must more than double the number of voters to succeed, to get the 5% in the national election. People associate us with liberal or libertarian Euroscepticism. Definitely there are two kinds of Eurosceptics in the Czech Republic. The left-wing Eurosceptics, the right-wing Eurosceptics. And we also knew that we must persuade also voters who are not involved in politics every day, the ordinary people. Therefore, we decided not to say bluntly that we fight for leaving the EU. Maybe many people would consider this too extreme. So we decided to point at something which we call the Euro nonsense. So we promised on the billboards to fight the Euro nonsense, like banning light bulbs and so on. And of course, when we were asked, and we also included it in our manifesto, that we are strongly in favor of free trade, we are in favor of voluntary cooperation of people among themselves, and therefore, when asked, what do we want? We always say, we are in favor of free trade. Therefore, if our country left the EU, we would like to join the EFTA, the European Free Trade Association. Or if we are not able to negotiate something better, we would like to remain for some time in the European Economic Area. So what we want is the free trade, free cooperation, without the excessive burden of subsidies, of tariffs on goods coming to the EU, and again without this overregulation. So basically, I believe that our party is associated with the fight against overregulation, overtaxation, over indebtedness, and that's what we stand for. I am really happy that parties like ours exist elsewhere. I'm happy that your party exists here, and I wish you success in your forthcoming election. And now I'm open for discussion. Thank you very much.
I was wondering about the demographics in your party. How many IT persons, for instance, and mix between men and women, and the age demographics? Because as we are a young party, lots of men and younger people. Have you managed to reach all the people, for instance, with your ideas?
Well, normally, looking at you, I would be tempted to say that you are members of my party. But it's probably due to the fact how we were established. Because, as I mentioned, we did not have any money. So we just opened our websites. So even people registered for membership on the internet. Everyone in our party must be present on the internet, and people vote through the internet, and so on. So unlike in other countries, we don't have to organize huge meetings. We organize annual meetings, of course, but people can vote from distance on the internet. This mere fact implies that our members would tend to be younger and male. And they work in the IT industry, probably. Which is not, as I believe, it's not because IT people prefer libertarian ideas more than other professions. It's simply because they are more present on the internet. They work like you on their computers, and therefore they don't tend to read newspapers or watch TVs. They tend to get the information from the internet. And it's hard to get a piece of information about our party and probably about your as well from the mass media, from TV, from newspapers. So only people who tend to work on computers have a better chance to meet us simply. So I think that it's just a matter of time before more women come and more other professions come.
As I have studied the background of you, you were as kind of assistant to former President Václav Klaus before you founded the party, and was important when he, in his resistance to the EU or to the Lisbon Treaty, and especially in Sweden, among pro-EU people said, "Oh, that is just a crazy old man," and the rest of the Czech population, they don't like his resistance. They want to be more part of the EU. How was the opinion among the Czech public about Klaus' resistance?
Well, I used to work as an assistant or as an advisor to President Klaus even before he was elected president, because before he was elected president, he was the Speaker of the Parliament. And I shared many ideas with him: Euroscepticism, climaskepticism, admiration of authors like Hayek, Bastiat, and so on. And when there was the debate about the Lisbon Treaty 6 years ago in the Czech Republic, the Lisbon Treaty which would give more powers to the EU, Klaus was one of the most critical persons. So I shared the ideas with him, and therefore I was really disappointed when he eventually signed the treaty. But I can understand that it's difficult in a constitutional system where both chambers of the parliament approve the treaty, where the constitutional court says that president should sign the treaty. Then his signature was considered rather like a stamp, a formality. So he was not able to resist. Maybe that we can say that he could be more courageous. He had nothing to lose at this moment. He could simply resign, saying that he did not agree with this treaty and he cannot simply sign it. Then he would probably be considered more as a hero than just signing the treaty. So it was a disappointment for me and for other critics of the Lisbon Treaty. But this was the reality. So I simply decided that we cannot rely anymore on this strong political person of Václav Klaus, that we must establish our own party of our own.
Alla, what's
How do you think it is to have these ideas of political party in what was a part of the Eastern European, which is the communism in former days? Is it easier to convince people that socialism is not the way to go? Do you think that, or is it as much a big problem in the Czech Republic as it might be here in Norway?
I think that it's difficult in both worlds. I used to live my first 14 years under communism. Then in 1989, the communist regime fell down. And as a 14-year-old boy, I was not just a child. I could see what was happening and what was the system. And in fact, the system was that there was no private ownership of business. The taxes were high, of course, but there were no private restaurants, no private farms, no private factories. So, and all prices were regulated, not just the price of alcohol or of cigarettes. The prices of everything were controlled by the government. So this was absolutely strange system. And after the fall of communism, a huge liberalization of prices, a huge process of privatization took place. And I think that predominantly people were in favor of this liberalization and of this process of privatization. But now the situation in Eastern Europe and in the West is similar. We are overregulated, overtaxed, over-indebted, and the experience of most people, of young people, of middle-aged people is about the same. So I don't think that the experience of communism is an advantage anymore. So probably now the difficulty to persuade voters to liberalize the economy is about the same. Okay, if there is no more question, yeah?
Do you have any social gatherings, like meetups in cities? In Oslo and a couple of other cities, we have a liberal evening once a month. So if I would go to Prague, would I find a social gathering of like-minded people going out on a regular basis?
Well, there are several organizations other than my political party that organize such evenings. People like here gather and there are speakers on various topics. So it exists. It exists. Our party branches, local branches, organize these meetings as well. If you come to Prague, you are welcome. Usually they are held in Czech. So first of all, you will have to learn some Czech to understand what's about. But I think that it's popular among people to discuss or just to organize, well, social or sport events like playing bowling or celebrating birthday. So I think that people who are like-minded also like to have these social meetings. And I'm strongly in favor of organizing these events, because I think that it's important that people socialize. Because what I sometimes loathe on my political party is that many people are just sitting on their computers. They don't physically meet each other, and therefore they just discuss on Facebook, which is not very healthy, because on Facebook, when people are not face to face, they tend to be more rude sometimes and so on. So I strongly encourage organizing these events. Well, if there is no more question, I would like to present a gift to your chairman, Espen, if I can. In fact, it's a T-shirt, but it's wearing a quotation by Frederick Bastiat. When goods don't cross borders, soldiers will. Frederick Bastiat. So it's my gift to you.
Thank you very much.
So
Thank you so much for
thank
coming.
you.